Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's best comics of the week. And as you could hear, I do have a little bit of con crud, so my voice is not perfect, but I did want to do my comic book reviews for the week. So let's jump in. And of course, at the end of the video, we do talk about the viewer's pick of the week. So be sure to let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week was for a chance to be featured on the episode. Now, let's jump in. This week I had 10 comics to talk about. So number 10 for me is The Approach, issue 1. This is a book I was looking forward to because I'm a big fan of Red Mother. I like the beauty. This is the same writing team. And, it sounded like an interesting mystery story. And honestly, it felt like one of those procedural stories you get every 5 years, and I think that's why it was so low. I'm not a huge fan of like the missing thing happened. Now, what happened to these people who are on this plane? Again, we get those stories a lot in network television, and I don't really feel like it got interesting until the last page where you see this big creature, and I didn't really feel like I felt connected to the characters where, as in, the beauty or even Red Mother, I felt like the character work was a little bit quicker. So overall, this one didn't hook me, so I gave this 2 stars, and that is number 10. I hope you're having fun with my wonderful voice. Number 9 for me is Punisher War Journal, issue 1. I got this one on whim because I've been enjoying Punisher. I've been pleasantly surprised by the Punisher, and with this one, if you're looking for more of an action, old school Punisher story that still connects to the current series, this is one for you. For me, I thought the artwork was really good for this, but other than that, I really couldn't really get my teeth into this one. I didn't feel like there was a lot of meat on the bone. It was really just there for the action, as in, the main story dealing with more of the plot. So giving that one 2.5 stars, and that is number 9. Moving on to, I gave that 2 stars. Moving on to number 8, which is the Fantastic Four issue 48. Now, Fantastic Four, this is a 2-part arc, and with this one, we get to see kind of an Invisible Woman story, but it's mostly from Reed's point of view. So a lot of this is just Reed talking about his family, saying this is why Johnny's great, this is why the Thing is great, this is why Sue is great, and then he reunites with his family. And I think there's some nice narration, but I expected this to be more of an Invisible Woman story, and I think that took me out of it a little bit, even though the art was good. It was a pleasure to read the book. I just thought it'd be interesting to see it from a different point of view, where the narration just kind of felt a little generic to me here. So overall, giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is Batman vs. Robin, issue 2. And with this issue, we get to see a little bit more of the magic side of Batman and Robin, which actually took me out of it a bit. I'm not a huge magic fan when it comes to superhero comics, but I like that we got a little bit of connection with with the Lazarus Pit / Lazarus story from the Robin series. And then I also enjoy just learning more about Robin's great-great-grandmother. And Batman does get an interaction with this in this issue, but I felt like as a reader, I kind of already knew a lot of this information because I read Robin. It felt like more for people who hadn't read Robin, but also at the same time felt like for people who did read Robin. And I enjoyed the first issue a little bit more, but I feel like there's definitely a lot that happened in the last 2 or 3 pages that was really interesting. Like, is this really Alfred? Is this an evil version of Alfred? We get a little bit of the Robins, it wasn't just Damian, but we get to see Steph, we get to see Dick in the end of this issue. So it's like, all right, is this not just Batman versus Damian? Is it Batman versus Robins? So there's some interesting information in the end, but I do feel like issue 1 was a stronger issue. Artwork is also a bit gritty to match that magical side of things. So overall, giving that 3 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, a surprise issue for me because I'm usually not a huge fan of this series, but I thought this was just a pleasant surprise, and that is Batgirls issue 11. Batgirls, with this issue, I like the slice of life stuff. I enjoy just seeing Cassandra and Steph be friends. We get to see Maps in this issue as well with her brother. And just seeing that aspect was fun. And I thought the villain was more interesting as we step away from Future State and go into more of the roots of Batgirl with Killer Moth and then even Riddler in the end here. I'm also enjoying the artwork a little bit more here, so I just thought it was a step up from what we've been getting. So overall, gave this 3 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is the Amazing Spider-Man issue 11. And with this issue, we get to see the Hobgoblin return, and then also a lot of different side stories here. So we get to see Betty and Ned, their family, what's going on with them, and, you know, what side is Ned on. The thing I didn't love, but Black Cat and Spider-Man rekindling their romance, which usually I wouldn't mind, but, you know, since we got so much development with Black Cat in the previous series with her having this friendship with Mary Jane, and even getting another series with them with Mary Jane, I feel like the relationship's kind of weird and just kind of there. It's just like, oh, you know, MJ's with someone, I guess I should be with someone too. So I think there's players I enjoyed in this issue. Again, it was a pleasure to see Betty. It was a pleasure to see Hobgoblin, but the things they were doing wasn't as interesting as I want them to be. And then John Romita Jr. does return on artwork here, which, you know, isn't my favorite art style. So overall, giving this one 3 stars. I like it. I don't hate what's going on. I just also don't love what's going on. So we'll see what ends up happening. So that's 3 stars for me. Moving on to number 4, which is the return of Superman in Superman Son of Kal-El issue 16. In this issue, we get to see Superman return, as I mentioned, but it's also just seeing John. What does he do on the daily basis as his own version of Superman, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed this kind of more slice of life look at John Kent. And then just the more emotional basis of him missing the heartbeat of his father and then getting that emotional return. If you're looking for more of like, okay, what is it like for Superman to be back? I'm guessing that's going to be more in the next issue. But this issue, it was a good setup overall. I like the artwork. I think it's stronger than what we've been getting with the series. So overall, giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, and this is a bit higher than usual, and that's Daredevil issue 4. And I like the new beginnings for this, where we get to see a lot of the great main players of Daredevil return and them interacting with each other. Foggy, Elektra, Stick, as we get to see them unravel the new existence of the Hand and somewhat connecting to the Punisher as well as they prepare for this battle. And then also Elektra and Daredevil maybe most likely getting married and how Daredevil feels with that, with his own relationship with Kristen and loving 2 people at the same time. I just thought this issue progressed a lot more than the previous 3 issues. It gives us kind of an idea where things are going. There's some good character interaction. As always, really good artwork for this one as well. So overall, giving that one, I believe I gave that 3.5 actually. Yes, 3.5 stars, and that is number 3. Don't remember if I mentioned I gave 3.5 stars for Superman, but I did. Moving on to number 2, which is Do a Powerbomb, issue 5, one of my favorite series on stands right now. And, you know, at first I thought this issue was just going to be, okay, this is a battle to the death. It's just another wrestling story, you know, another wrestling action piece. But, you know, a lot of the issue is that, and it was fun. I'm like, okay, where's this going? Usually Do a Powerbomb has those, like, big magnetic moments, and they do. It seems like the main character dies, possibly. She finally finds out that her partner, tag team partner, is her father, which also means her father killed her mom. So there's actually a lot that happens in these last couple of pages that really ramps things up, and by the end you also get to see the people they are going up against are going to go up against each other now. There's a lot of good wrestling action in here, and even though I'm not a huge wrestling fan, it really builds up to a really great plot moment as well, which is what Do a Powerbomb really does great. So overall, I give this a solid 4 stars, and that is number 2 for me. Moving on to number 1, which is Dark Crisis Worlds Without the Justice League, Green Arrow issue 1. And man, I miss Green Arrow. And this issue really reminded me why I miss him. And I feel like the creative team does a really good job at playing with this nostalgia and what makes Green Arrow great. You know, having him have this almost Robin Hood story in the beginning, and then going into the city, meeting up with Black Canary, and making this love story as they come from different worlds and say, hey, I still think I remember you. And it's really them just fighting together. And it's a good just one and done. It's a good one shot that connects to the main story, but not so much that you have to read the main story to enjoy this one shot. And I feel like that's what a really good tie-in should do. Make it a good part 1, part 2, part 3, you know, a good act break or, you know, a good 3-act structure. And, you know, somewhat connected to the main series that way. It's like, okay, why is this happening? But still tell us a full character story. And this issue did a really good job at that. Really great art that really reminds me of early 2000s Green Arrow style of artwork. Just a really solid issue. If you enjoy Black Canary, if you enjoy Green Arrow, I think you're going to have a fun time with this one, with the nostalgia especially. So overall, giving that 4 stars, and that's my pick of the week. Let me know in the comments below what was your favorite comic of the week. This is Comic Uno. Hopefully next time with a better voice. And hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week was. So next week you'll be featured in the episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.